Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're doing well. Today I got for you guys some new fragrances, basically fragrances released in 2023 or 2024 that will help set you apart at work, in the office, on the construction site, at your restaurant, I don't know, wherever you work at, wherever that is. These will help you there. But not just there, because if you can wear something in the office to work, then generally you can wear it just about anywhere, because the fragrances that work best there typically are gonna be more versatile fragrances, easygoing type of scents. If it's something really divisive, something completely out of left field, a lot of times that's actually not what you wanna wear to work. Unless you have just a very special job, unique job, and then that unique fragrance might work there for you just right. So all the scents I talked to you about here today are gonna be linked in the description. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We're gonna start things off with the new Michael Kors fragrance. Look at that. Got an interesting bottle. The cap is an absolute fingerprint magnet, but still very unique looking. As I said, this is the new Michael Kors. Michael Kors Pour Homme is the official name, and this is actually, in a way, kind of a big deal. Mainly because this is Michael Kors stepping back into the men's fragrance realm with a new fragrance line. Now, Michael Kors had a line before this that was not quite as successful, the Extreme line, or at least that's what I'm gonna call it, the Extreme line. It was basically a bunch of different fragrances that were extreme, fill in the blank. So they had names like Extreme Journey, Extreme Blue, Extreme Speed. Yeah, it was just a bunch of different extremes. And they didn't really take off in a big way. And so Michael Kors has gone back to the drawing board basically. And they went, well, I'd really like to have a fragrance line that people actually buy. Let's try something new, at least a new line. And here you go. So my assumption is that we're gonna be seeing some new flankers for this probably in the next year or so, but for now, this is the one kicking it off. And how does it smell? Well, it's actually really, really pleasant, super easy to wear, a little bit similar to something like Paco Rabanne Invictus in terms of the way the sweetness comes across here, but it's not as bubblegummy as Invictus is. But still, you can tell that it's sort of in that vein, in that style. It has some bergamot in here, it has geranium, sage, also some C notes, ambergris / ambroxan. And the way that I view this, right or wrong, is basically that Michael Kors probably looked at some competing brands, stuff like Coach for Men, and they were like, ugh, they are killing it making money with their Coach fragrances. Why aren't we? And so that's where this comes in. Unique bottle style, price not too high. I think at full retail, this one was $119 is what I got it for. And obviously you can get a smaller size bottle and then it's under $100 at retail. And when it hits discounters, I'm assuming you'll be able to pick this up for like, I don't know, 45, something like that. And that makes it a super attractive fragrance if you're looking for something that you can wear almost anywhere that pulls compliments from a brand that most people know in a gaudy but attention-grabbing presentation. Now, I think where this one will catch a little bit of flack initially is that it's not unique enough or whatever for a new fragrance line, but to be fair, when a brand comes out with a new line, they kind of need that to sell and get people's attention initially, right? You can't launch a new fragrance line and have it come out and be something, like I said earlier, totally out of left field that nobody's gonna buy, because then you spent all that money coming out with a new line that nobody bought, and when you come out with a flanker, people are gonna be like, no, that's okay, I smell the original, it sucked, I don't need to smell the flanker. And if we're honest with each other, this is something that people are gonna go into a store, spray, smell, and buy, right? Your average person, they're gonna be going after this, and it works very well. Like I said, in just about any situation you could think of. So you gotta keep it safe. When you launch a new line, a lot of times that's what they've done, but the quality is good, the price point is good, whole thing pretty nice. Before we jump to the next fragrance, here are some codes that you can use, including the new Joma Shop codes. Those Joma Shop codes, I do have to make you aware, only work in the Joma Shop app, and those will stop working like mid-September. So use those while you can, and all the other codes are as usual. Let's keep it moving. Up next, I want to talk about Legend Blue from Mont Blanc. I actually really like this one. You can already find this one at discounters also, and I think it's around like 55 bucks at discounters. 55, 60, something like that, depending on size and which discounter you're shopping at, whether it's in stock. But yeah, it's somewhere roughly around there. And I would imagine that as time goes on, it will get cheaper than that, more affordable than that. So it's one of those ones that you definitely want to keep your eye on and pick that up as the price drops. But even at the price it's at now, I think it's a good buy. I mean, I bought this stuff at retail. I don't regret it a bit. Now, it's not anything crazy complex or anything like that, and it's also not anything that is overly unique. It smells definitely like it fits into the Legend line. You can kind of draw, you know, a direct line from Legend Eau de Toilette to Legend Blue, but that makes sense. They basically took that DNA, freshened it up, modernized it, gave it an almost like light aquatic tinge. You got lavender and mint in there, nice sweetness to it, some modern woods. It's similar to Parfums de Marly Percival, and Percival is also similar to Mont Blanc Legend, which is similar to Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce. So yeah, it's in that style, but I would say this is closer to Percival than the original Mont Blanc Legend is. So do keep that in mind. You could view this as like a cheaper alternative to Percival, and it would do that exceedingly well. Just a really easy to wear fragrance in spring and summertime, frankly year round. It's a great compliment puller. This is one that I just found myself reaching for over and over again after I got it in the mail. And I just think it's a really solid fragrance that's gonna be a great cheapie for years and years to come. So it's another one of those fragrances that when it first comes out, there will be some people who say, you know, it's treading familiar ground. But when you consider everything with this, the versatility, complement factor, similarity to a much more expensive fragrance, and the fact that it's just gonna keep getting cheaper, I think it's a great buy. Now let's go Aaro, the most wanted Eau de Toilette Intense. Now for me, of the most wanted fragrances, this is actually the one that I like the least. But if we're talking about fragrances that you would wear to the office, fragrances that have great versatility, and fragrances that are gonna have that complement factor, this does that better than the most wanted fragrances. But if we're talking like a fall and winter time, strong, sexy fragrance that's gonna get you compliments, get you attention, perfect for a night out, great for a date, then the most wanted and the Parfum version. Both of those are better. Now, one thing I hate about this one is how they changed up the atomizer. It is awful, at least mine. Maybe I'm just unlucky. It's got like a fluke one, but it's just a terrible garbage atomizer. So it just becomes one of those things where you get in a new fragrance, you look at it, you're like, it's a good presentation, nice gradient, looks good, high quality, you know? And then you go, what? I'm not sure what the equivalent would be. I don't know, like buying a new sports car, looks fantastic on the outside. You're like, oh man, look at this thing, this is great. Now let's check out the exhaust, you know? And then you rev up the engine and it goes, wee! Then you just go, oh God, why? So note-wise, very simple. Typical Aaro nowadays, giving us next to nothing. Bergamot, lavender, and then what was it? Moss liquor, I think, in the base. Liquor moss. Oh, yes, that sounds weird. So it's aromatic, fresh, a little bit sweet. It smells similar in some aspects to YSL myself, the original. Of course, good versatility with this one, and it's not maybe as dark of a fragrance as you might expect from the look of the bottle, you know, this black gradient, black top, and then the wording, you know, the most wanted intense. No, it's actually pretty easy going and clean, and a solid compliment puller as well. I do think though, if it were to my own choosing and I were gonna get a myself type fragrance, I might just get myself. Of course, this is one of the biggest sellers on the market nowadays for men. Just a massively successful and popular scent. It's another one that has a very simple note breakdown. I mean, it's basically like orange blossom and bergamot. That's the main thing that you're gonna get from it. Though technically as it dries down, there's ambro fix and patchouli in the base. Really clean, a little reminiscent of like clean laundry to an extent. Fresh, little touch sweet, not overly so, ultra versatile. And this is one of those fragrances that will just blow you away in terms of how much people like that smell, gravitate toward that smell. They just absolutely nailed it. Nailed it. Now, if you've smelled a billion fragrances, then you might smell that and just be like, dude, what? I don't understand it. I don't get the hype. Like, it's just kind of basic, clean, like, sure, pleasant, but like, what? But the more you smell it, the more you wear it, you really come around to it. It's one of those things where just any situation you ever find yourself in, you can spray this on, it'll work. And for what it's worth, even though you could say maybe there's a bit and a piece from this fragrance or that fragrance in here, it kind of has set a new DNA, a new style of fragrance in motion. Because ever since this has come out, there have been other fragrances that have similarities to it, where you're like, oh, this smells a little bit inspired by what they did with Myself. And we've seen that happen before with big releases. Invictus, for example. You know, Invictus came out and a million fragrances smell like Invictus. Now that's happening with Myself. And there's also Polo 67 that you could get. And that one also has some similarities to Myself. In terms of my own personal preference between Polo 67 and the Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense, I do prefer Polo 67 a little bit more if we're talking Myself-ish style fragrances that aren't Myself. And again, that's not to say that the Most Wanted Intense is a bad release. It is not. It's just I prefer this one a little bit. Polo 67 has more of an emphasis on fruits off the top. So there's citrus in there and pineapple. It really helps liven that opening up. It's fresh, it's sweet, it's attention grabbing, it's a little bit zingy. And then it has a strong aromatic backing to it as well. You've got some vetiver in there as it dries down, gives a nice woodiness. Got some sage, some juniper, just a really good fragrance, easy wearing. It's one of those ones that is not too expensive at full retail. So even if you buy it at full retail, you don't feel like you got ripped off. And this one and Legend Blue, both of those are fragrances that when I got them in, smelled them the first time and I thought, yeah, that's fine. And then I just kept wearing them, kept wearing them, kept wearing them. Like I've already put a little dent in this thing and that's hard to do. That's hard to do with how much stuff I've got. So Polo 67, love this stuff. Good compliment puller too, just a really solid scent. All right, let's change pace a little bit. Let's go Gentleman Society up next. Now this is gonna be a different style of fragrance compared to these others up here. This one has Narcissus. It's gonna have a floral overtone to it. And it still has like the remnants of iris from Gentleman fragrances past. So in this one, iris was not an official note, but you can still kind of pick up that linger in there. It's got cardamom, sage, vetiver, vanilla. It's got a little touch of powder to it. It's a little more elegant, I would say, than probably these fragrances over here. And younger guys, I would say, probably won't gravitate toward this one as much as they might Polo 67 or the Most Wanted or Myself. It's a really nice change of pace fragrance, but you have to be aware of that floral aspect to the scent. As long as that works for you and works off your skin, you'll be smelling amazing. But if you wear that and it doesn't really give you that confidence boost, you know, you kind of start to feel iffy about it, because I know there's some guys out there, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there's some guys out there who, with fragrances that have floral, strong floral aspect to it, or a powdery scent profile to an extent, that they can't rock with it. You know, it just doesn't work for them. If that's you, that is fine. This probably won't work for you, but otherwise, check it out. After that, we got the new Lacoste Original, and this Lacoste Original does not smell like the original Lacoste Original. So be aware that there are two Lacoste Originals. There's the original Lacoste Original, which is not this Lacoste Original, and this Lacoste Original, which is the new Lacoste Original, does not smell like the original Lacoste Original. Got it? good. And don't worry, you won't get confused about which is which because this is the new one and the old one looks like that, different bottles. So no chance to get them mixed up. I do like the presentation on this one. I think it looks clean, modern, simple, you know, a little minimalistic, but really nice. You have the little Lacoste crocodile up on top of the cap there. Just a good looking presentation. So with this, you've got bergamot, cardamom, lavender in the top and the mid. You also have clary sage, amber extreme, sandalwood, and patchouli as the fragrance dries down. And this is another classy type of Lacoste fragrance. Most Lacoste fragrances are either sporty with a little lean toward classy, or right in the middle, or classy with a little lean towards sporty. That's pretty much all they do, but they do that very well. I will give them credit for that. I mean, Lacoste, more often than not, for the price point you can get them at, are great buys. And this one, I think, is gonna be one of those fragrances that as it dips down in price at discounters, is gonna be a wonderful pickup for people who are looking for a fragrance like these. And actually, I have already seen this one online for like 40 bucks. So yeah, this is gonna be one of those ones that creeps down in price. And I think at that price point, it is fantastic. Quality, really solid. It's not overly sweet. It's aromatic, fresh, modern. It keeps things, like I said, classy, very easy to wear. You're gonna have some people who you dislike that it's not the same as the original Lacoste original. But if we're honest here, that fragrance came out in the mid 80s, like 40 years ago. And if you still love that fragrance, that is fantastic. But what I'm saying is, from a business standpoint, probably not the best idea to be like, hey, let's make a new line. We'll just take that fragrance from 40 years ago and just pop it into this bottle right here. I'm sure that'll work. Modern fragrances smell the same as they did 40 years ago. No one will notice. It'll sell like hotcakes, guaranteed. So it makes sense that they would modernize it, and they have. But if you're looking for something that's not overly sweet, like I said, with that nice aromatic classiness, check this out. Then we have Acqua di Parma. That right there is the 2024 edition. Check it out. That is a magnetic cap, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, would you look at it? Quality. You can spin it and it just pops right up. Look at that. Now, as I said, this is the new Acqua di Parma 2024. It smells more similar to Acqua di Profumo. And Armani is having a time right now where they are just dillying and dallying with all of their fragrances, changing the bottles, you know, changing what's in the bottles, keeping the name the same, but changing the fragrance. There's a lot going on right now, though, over there. I don't know what's going on. There's like a power struggle going on or something in the fragrance division at Giorgio Armani, Armani Beauty. But anyway, this right here smells similar to Acqua di Profumo, which so many of you out there loved. It has that kind of incensey touch back to it, makes it work all year round. I think daytime, evening, any season, smells great. And it's an Acqua di I mean, what else do you need to know? I mean, when it comes to Acqua di you can basically just, you know, smell across all the different releases, find the one that you like the most, and rock with that one. But I think for a lot of people out there, this is gonna be the one. Or Profundo. Or Profundo. After that, we have Barbados XX Intense with the little dangly bits right there in the front. Yippee dippy. Bottle looks cool though, I like that look. I like that kind of cracked lava look going on there. And this one reminds me of Ralph Lauren Polo Red Extreme, which that one is discontinued, unfortunately. That one and Polo Red Intense, both of those were super good. Love the opening, everything smells great. Bergamot, ginger, verbena, geranium, coffee, some of the notes in here. Also tonka, pretty good amount, and cedar. So it's got a nice zingy opening, sweet, but a different type of sweetness that you don't smell all that often in fragrances, other than the Polo that I mentioned. Also might find some vague similarities to Coral Fantasy in here, but leans more closely to the Polo. It flies way under the radar. I mean, at this point, most Barbados fragrances don't get like a huge amount of hype or anything like that. So that can actually work in your favor if you're looking for something that's not too difficult to get, but that most people don't really know about. And when I say that, of course, I don't mean you. You obviously know about it. I'm talking about your average person. So this one, and then we're gonna end it with this one, Explorer Platinum. Another one that has the derpy 3-note note breakdown, but what are you gonna do? Violet, clary sage, cedar. That's pretty much it. The fragrance is aromatic, a little herbal, touch of like green leafiness around the edges. I just flipped that away. It's got a decent sweetness that you can pick up right off the top. I think younger guys probably would gravitate more toward some of these others. I think that for like guys, I don't know, mid-20s and under, probably like these two would work the least. But this has a nice classiness to it while also having a slight like playful edge. And I guess I would be remiss, since I brought this up, not to bring up the original Explorer. I think that one is a better overall year-round fragrance, but if we're making one that's more specific toward office use, then Platinum probably takes the nod. So there we go, guys. There are some choices, some fragrances, newer fragrances that will work really well at the office, at your workplace, and honestly, at just about every place. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.